The saleswoman slapped the old black woman, but what happened next shocked everyone. The slap echoed through the entire store. Smack. Everyone froze. Customers, employees, security guards. The silence lasted only a second before being broken by whispers and phones being raised to record. A 72-year-old black woman stumbled backward, hitting a rack of designer dresses. Her glasses flew off her face and slid across the polished marble floor. Her old purse fell, scattering some belongings on the ground. The saleswoman, a 28-year-old blonde named Brittany, shook her hand as if she had touched something dirty. "I warned you not to touch the dresses with those filthy hands." She spat the words loud enough for the whole store to hear. "This is Elegance Boutique, not a charity shop. Go back to where you came from." Muffled laughter came from some customers watching the scene. One of them, covered in jewelry, was filming with a malicious smile on her face. The black woman held onto the rack to keep from falling. Her wrinkled hands trembled. Not from fear. From something no one there could identify. "Security!" Brittany shouted, snapping her fingers. "Get this beggar out of my store before she drives away the real customers." Two security guards approached, embarrassed but obedient. The old woman finally straightened up. Slowly, with a dignity that seemed out of place in that situation, she bent down and picked up her glasses. Put them back on her face. Then gathered her worn purse and the objects that had fallen. No one helped her. She looked directly at Brittany. Her dark brown eyes showed no anger. They showed no humiliation. They showed something that made the saleswoman step back half a step without understanding why. "What's your full name, dear?" the woman asked. Her voice was calm, almost gentle. Brittany laughed with disdain. "What for? Are you going to sue me? With what money, Grandma?" "I'm just asking." "Brittany Reynolds. Assistant manager. Now leave before I call the police." The woman nodded slightly, as if storing the information somewhere important. "And the owner of this store? What's her name?" "Victoria Ashford. Not that it's any of your business. She's one of the most powerful women in this city and doesn't waste time with people like you." Something passed through the old woman's eyes. A quick flash. Almost imperceptible. "Victoria Ashford," she repeated quietly. "Interesting." Without saying anything else, the woman walked toward the exit. Her back was straight. Her steps were slow but firm. She didn't look back. One of the security guards opened the door for her to leave. "And don't come back." Brittany shouted, drawing laughter from some customers. The glass door closed. Outside, the woman stopped on the sidewalk. The Saturday afternoon sun illuminated her face. She took a deep breath, pulled a phone from her pocket, not an old, broken phone, but the latest model on the market, and dialed a number. "William, it's me. I need you to find out everything about Elegance Boutique. Owner, employees, suppliers, financial situation. Everything. I need it by Monday." On the other end of the line, a male voice responded promptly. "Yes, Mrs. Henderson. Anything else?" "Yes. Find out who Brittany Reynolds is. Where she lives, how much she earns, if she has debts. I want a complete report." "Understood. May I ask the reason?" The woman looked back at the elegant storefront. "She just slapped me." Silence on the other end. "Mrs. Henderson, do you want me to?" "No. I'll handle this myself. My way." She hung up the phone and put it in her pocket. Across the street, there was a small clothing store. Modest, with a simple window display, but arranged with care. The name on the sign read, "Rosa's Fashion, Fashion for Everyone." The woman crossed the street and entered. A young black woman, maybe 25 years old, was behind the counter, reorganizing some pieces. When she saw the woman enter, her face lit up with a genuine smile. "Good afternoon. Welcome. Can I help you with something?" The woman looked around. The store was small but clean. The clothes were modest but well presented. And that young woman's smile was the first kindness she had received that day. "What's your name, dear?" "Rosa. Rosa Williams. This store belonged to my grandmother. I inherited it from her 2 years ago." The woman smiled. A real smile, the first since she had entered Elegance Boutique. Rosa. What a beautiful name. Tell me, Rosa, do you have elegant dresses here? I need something special for an important event. Rosa nodded excitedly. I have some. They're not from famous brands, but they're well made. Can I show you? Please. While Rosa ran to get the dresses, the woman sat in a simple chair near the fitting room. Her eyes scanned the store, noticing the small details. The photos on the wall of an older woman, probably the grandmother. The sewing course diplomas. The old sewing machine in the corner. What no one in that city knew yet was that the beggar who had just been slapped in the face was Eleanor Henderson, founder of the Henderson Foundation, one of the largest philanthropic organizations in the country. Owner of shares in 6 retail chains. Estimated fortune of $2.3 billion. And she had never, in 72 years of life, forgotten a humiliation. If you're enjoying this story, subscribe to the channel now. Because what Eleanor is about to do will change the lives of everyone on that street forever. Rosa came back with 3 dresses in her arms. They were simple pieces, but well sewn. Sober colors, elegant cuts. This one is my favorite, Rosa said, holding out a navy blue dress. I made some modifications myself. The original stitching was good, but I adjusted the waist and added this detail at the neckline. Eleanor took the dress and examined it with experienced eyes. She turned the fabric, observed the seams, felt the quality of the finish. You did this yourself? Yes, ma'am. I learned from my grandmother. She had been sewing since she was 14. Eleanor nodded, impressed. How much does it cost? $85. At Elegance Boutique, a dress like that would cost at least $2,000. And the stitching wouldn't be as careful. Can I try it on? Of course. The fitting room is in the back. While Eleanor tried on the dress, Rosa organized the store, humming softly. There were no other customers. Business was slow at that hour. Eleanor came out of the fitting room and looked at herself in the mirror. The dress fit perfectly. Rosa had talent. It looks beautiful on you, ma'am, Rosa said sincerely. You have a gift, you know. Rosa lowered her eyes, embarrassed by the compliment. Thank you. I try to do my best. It's not easy to compete with the big stores, but we keep trying. Eleanor observed the young woman for a moment. Can I ask you a personal question, Rosa? Of course. How's business at the store? Are you managing to stay afloat? Rosa hesitated. Her smile faltered for a second. It's been hard, to be honest. After Elegance Boutique opened on the corner, I lost a lot of customers. They do aggressive promotions, have strong marketing. I can barely pay the rent. How much do you owe? 3 months behind. The landlord gave me until the end of the month to settle it. If I can't. Rosa didn't finish the sentence. Eleanor remained silent, processing the information. And why don't you close and look for a job at another store? Rosa looked at the photo of her grandmother on the wall. This store is all I have left of her. She built this from scratch, working 16 hours a day for 30 years. I can't just give up. It would be like betraying her memory. Eleanor felt something tighten in her chest. That young woman reminded her of herself, 50 years ago. Fighting to keep alive the dream of someone she loved. I'll take the dress, Eleanor said. And those other 2 as well. All 3. Yes. How much is it? Rosa calculated quickly. $240. Eleanor opened her worn purse and pulled out something that made Rosa's eyes widen. A wad of $100 bills. Thick. Probably more money than Rosa saw in a month. Eleanor counted 3 bills and handed them to Rosa. Keep the change. Ma'am, that's too much. You treated me with dignity. That's priceless. Rosa held the bills with trembling hands. Tears began to form in her eyes. Thank you. You don't know how much this means. Eleanor smiled gently. I know more than you imagine, dear. She took the bag with the dresses and walked to the door. Before leaving, she turned. Rosa, one last question. Elegance Boutique. Have they ever tried to harm you directly? Rosa bit her lip. Why do you ask? Old lady curiosity. Rosa hesitated, but something in that woman's look made her trust. 3 months ago, our main supplier canceled the contract with me overnight. No explanation. Then I found out that Elegance offered him exclusivity. If he kept selling to me, he'd lose the contract with them. And what did you do? What could I do? I had to look for smaller, more expensive suppliers. My profit margin plummeted. Eleanor absorbed the information with an impassive face. Inside, the anger grew. Anything else? Rosa sighed. Last week, someone spray-painted my window in the middle of the night. Horrible words. I had to spend money, I didn't have to clean it. I don't have proof, but I have my suspicions. Eleanor nodded slowly. Thank you for telling me, Rosa. We'll see each other soon. Are you coming back? Definitely. And not just me. Rosa didn't understand what that meant. But there was something in that woman's tone that made her feel, for the first time in months, a spark of hope. Eleanor left the store and crossed the street again. She stopped in front of Elegance Boutique and stood watching through the window. Inside, Brittany was laughing about something with other saleswomen, probably telling the story of the slap she had given the beggar. Eleanor's phone rang. It was William. Mrs. Henderson, I have the first information. Quick. Tell me. Elegance Boutique belongs to Victoria Ashford, but she's only the majority partner. The store is financially stable, but has some irregularities in employment contracts. 3 employees have filed lawsuits in the past 2 years for workplace harassment. Brittany Reynolds. Assistant manager for 18 months. Salary of $45,000 annually. Lives in a rented apartment downtown. Has credit card debt of $23,000. And there's one more interesting thing. What? She was fired from 2 previous stores, both for inappropriate treatment of customers. Eleanor smiled. A cold smile. Keep investigating. I want to know everything about Victoria Ashford, especially her weaknesses. Yes, ma'am. And William? Call Margaret in the legal department. Tell her I'll need a team ready to act on Monday. May I ask what you're planning? Eleanor looked at the elegant storefront, at the golden name shining under the afternoon sun. I'm planning a lesson. A lesson about respect. She hung up and walked toward the black car waiting at the end of the street. A uniformed driver opened the door for her. Home, Mrs. Henderson? No. To the office. I have work to do. The car pulled away silently. Inside Elegance Boutique, Brittany continued laughing, completely unaware that she had just slapped the wrong woman. The woman who had enough power to buy that store 10 times over. And destroy it 20. Monday, 9 in the morning. A convoy of 3 black cars parked in front of Elegance Boutique. The first car brought Eleanor Henderson, impeccably dressed in one of the dresses she had bought from Rosa. The second brought her legal team. The third brought a film crew. Brittany was behind the counter when she saw the group entering. She didn't recognize Eleanor immediately. The woman who had come in on Saturday looked like a beggar. This one looked like a queen. Good morning, Eleanor said calmly. I need to speak with Victoria Ashford. Brittany frowned. Something about that voice was familiar. Do you have an appointment? I don't need an appointment. Then you can't speak with her. Store policy. Eleanor smiled. Dear, don't you recognize me? Brittany looked more closely. Her eyes widened. The color drained from her face. You. Me. The beggar from Saturday. Remember the slap. Brittany stepped back, tripping over her own heel. This is some kind of prank? No. It's a business visit. Eleanor turned to one of the lawyers. Thomas, you can begin. The lawyer stepped forward. Miss Reynolds, I am here to officially inform you that Mrs. Eleanor Henderson, founder of the Henderson Foundation, is filing a lawsuit against you for physical assault. The video of Saturday's incident is already in the possession of our lawyers. Brittany's jaw dropped. Henderson? The Eleanor Henderson? The billionaire? The same. Brittany began to tremble. I didn't know. How could I know? It shouldn't matter who I was, Eleanor said coldly. You hit a 72-year-old woman. That's a crime, regardless of how much money that woman has. Other employees had approached, watching the scene in shock. The film crew recorded everything. What's going on here? An authoritative voice cut through the air. Victoria Ashford came down the store's internal stairs. Early 50s, white suit, the posture of someone used to being in charge. Who authorized filming in my store? Eleanor turned to her. Victoria Ashford, I presume? Who wants to know? Eleanor Henderson. The name dropped like a bomb. Victoria knew that name. Everyone in retail knew it. The woman who had transformed a small sewing business into a billion-dollar empire. The woman who bought and sold companies like changing clothes. Mrs. Henderson, Victoria swallowed hard. To what do I owe the honor? Your employee assaulted me on Saturday. Slapped me in the face because she thought I was too poor to be here. Victoria shot a withering look at Brittany, who shrank. I'm sure there's been a misunderstanding. We can resolve this in private. There's no misunderstanding. There are videos. Dozens of them. Your customers filmed everything while they laughed. Eleanor took a step forward. But I didn't come here just because of the slap. Victoria tensed. What else? I came because of Rose's fashion. Victoria's face contracted almost imperceptibly. I don't know what you're talking about. Yes, you do. You pressured her supplier to cancel the contract. You had her window spray painted. You're trying to destroy a small business owner because she dares to exist on the same street as you. Those are serious and unfounded accusations. Eleanor smiled. Are they? Thomas. The lawyer opened a folder. We have statements from 3 former employees confirming that Mrs. Ashford ordered sabotage actions against competing businesses. We have records of text messages between you and the property owner of Rose's Fashion, where you offer to pay double the rent if he evicts the current tenant. And we have security camera footage showing an employee of this store spray painting Rose's Fashion window at 3 a.m. last Tuesday. Victoria turned pale. That's, how did you get? Money opens many doors, Eleanor said simply. And I have plenty. The entire store was silent. Employees watched paralyzed. Some customers who had entered remained motionless, witnessing everything. What do you want? Victoria asked, her voice now trembling. Several things. First, Brittany Reynolds will be criminally prosecuted for assault. That's non-negotiable. Brittany let out a sob. Second, you will pay compensation of $500,000 to Rosa Williams for the damage caused to her business. $500,000? That's extortion. That's justice. You almost destroyed the dream of a young woman who inherited a store from her grandmother. You tried to take from her the only thing she had. Out of greed. Eleanor approached Victoria. Third, and this is the most important. She paused dramatically. You're going to sell this store. What? You're going to sell Elegance Boutique. And I'm going to buy it. Victoria stepped back as if she had been punched. You can't force me to sell. Can't I? Thomas, how long until we publish the complete report on the illegal practices of this store? The buried labor lawsuits, the systematic workplace harassment, the sabotage of competitors. It can be published this afternoon, if you wish. Victoria looked around, desperate. Her employees looked at her with a mixture of fear and disgust. This will destroy my reputation. You destroyed your own reputation the moment you decided that success justified stepping on others. Eleanor tilted her head. So, Victoria, are you going to sell, or would you prefer to see your name in every headline tomorrow? The silence lasted 10 seconds. 20. 30. How much are you offering? Victoria murmured, defeated. Market value. Not a penny more. You don't deserve generosity. Victoria closed her eyes. When she opened them, there were tears of humiliation. Fine. I'll sell. Eleanor nodded. Wise decision. My lawyers will be in touch today. She turned to Brittany, who was crying silently. As for you, I hope you learn something from this. Respect doesn't choose appearance. The person you humiliate today could be the person who decides your fate tomorrow. Eleanor walked toward the exit. At the door, she stopped and looked back one last time. Oh, and Victoria? When I take over this store, the first thing I'm going to do is change the name. It will be called Rosa's Elegance, in honor of a young woman who understands what it means to treat people with dignity. She left. Across the street, Rosa Williams was standing at the door of her store, watching all the commotion without understanding what was happening. Eleanor crossed the street and stopped before her. Rosa, I need to tell you something. Ma'am? What's happening over there? Eleanor smiled. A warm, genuine smile. The beginning of a new story is happening. Your story. 6 months later, the busiest corner in the city had a new name shining in golden letters, Rosa's Elegance. The store that once belonged to Victoria Ashford had been completely transformed. Same structure, same prime location, but with a completely different soul. And at the door, greeting customers with a genuine smile, was Rosa Williams. Eleanor had kept every promise. The $500,000 compensation paid all of Rosa's debts and still left enough to invest in inventory. The small store from her grandmother was transformed into a sewing studio, where Rosa created exclusive pieces sold at the new boutique. And Eleanor became a silent partner, offering mentorship and resources, but letting Rosa be in charge. You built this, Eleanor said on opening day. I just opened the door. Brittany Reynolds was convicted of assault. She got 2 years of probation and 200 hours of community service. She lost her job, her reputation, and any chance of working in retail again. Her name became synonymous with punished arrogance. Victoria Ashford sold the store and disappeared from the city. Rumors said she had moved to another state, trying to start over away from the judgmental looks. On a Thursday afternoon, Rosa finally gathered the courage to ask what had intrigued her for months. Mrs. Henderson, can I ask you a question? Eleanor was sitting in the same spot where she had sat on that first day, watching the store's activity with satisfaction. Of course, dear. That Saturday when you walked into Elegance Boutique, why were you dressed that way? You're a billionaire. You could wear any clothes in the world. Eleanor smiled. A smile that carried decades of history. Because I do this once a month, Rosa. For 40 years. What do you mean? I dress in simple clothes and visit stores around the city. I want to see how people treat those who appear not to have money. I want to know who deserves my investment and who deserves my distance. Rosa's eyes widened. So that day I discovered 2 things. I discovered a store that deserved to be destroyed. And I discovered you, who deserved to be elevated. Eleanor held Rosa's hand. My grandmother was a seamstress, you know? She worked her whole life being humiliated by people who thought simple clothes meant simple worth. When I saw the photo of your grandmother on the wall, I saw mine. Tears rolled down Rosa's face. You changed my life. No. I just recognized what you already were. The rest, you built yourself. Outside, a mother was entering the store holding the hand of a small daughter. The girl was looking enchanted at the dresses in the window. Rosa wiped her tears and stood up. Excuse me, Mrs. Henderson. I have customers to attend to. Eleanor watched Rosa walk over to the mother and daughter, kneel down to be at the girl's height, and ask with genuine kindness which dress she had liked the most. This was exactly how it should be. Respect costs nothing. Arrogance costs everything. And sometimes, the person you humiliate today could be exactly who will decide your fate tomorrow. If this story touched your heart, subscribe to the channel and leave in the comments. Have you ever been judged by your appearance? Tell us about it. And remember to turn on notifications so you don't miss any story. Because here, justice always prevails.